Yes?
Trying to sneak up on me? Come to slit my throat in my sleep?
Apparently, she doesn't like people. Logic error. She is not sleeping right now.
Pigs come to take me out, trying to snuff me out. Then why are you sneaking up on me like that?
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your...
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter,
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from a...
It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the loop...
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation. And the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group. Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass. the fourth largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Ravachol.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down. Have it your way.
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is. It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though my sloop, I like it a lot.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified...
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license.
Good. What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there? And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain. Saint-Baptiste, Elysium, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. 20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? They started as an exploration and cargo. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen. Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Elements that gives me the right to silence.
The octopus that straddles Revachol, the Emergencies Act, is the cornerstone of post-war Revachol, inseparable from the world it created.
I am glad you see it that way. To repeal the Act would mean repealing the coalition government.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot,
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago.
Wait, She just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. What can I say? The Union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now. Yes, I believe there is a connection, but that's a subject for later. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare...
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens, no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say...
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union. There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the two... Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more... I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position. A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, call me mañana.
This checks out.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a
mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective? if I may ask. I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming...
This forewoman, her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the Union's files. Indeed. The company suspects foul play. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around...
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective? I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh dear. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional.
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've...
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible. Trust me, officer, I am fully committed to resolving this impasse. This isn't some side gig for me.
She's silent. The wind flaps the sail above her.
Officer. You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting in.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible, The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbour. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the arse. Or you can find your badge.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real. Oh, yeah, like a horse, a workhorse. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way. A little. You make money. You got gills, baby. Got those black papers. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make... Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Are you rich? That's right. You work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself to the grave and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Boo-hoo. The system is broken. The establishment is keeping me down. That because of the taxes. G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every... Aren't taxes almost non-existent in the Gotham estate that is Revachol? Every time you wipe your ass, they got their direct and their indirect. 98% of all your money. What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? What are you, a racist? Don't be a racist. Be a cool immigrant. This guy's appropriating the emerging Boogie Street lingo as part of his sales pitch for the free market economy. Yeah, ain't it cool, Ryder? Ain't it street?
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to... This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser.
Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and
The situation might have changed drastically.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months. I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think she's just quick to adapt. No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we're siding with the Union. Or what I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for
Ingredients for what?
meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes, after they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the...
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dockworkers Union. Still.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they...
How convenient that they're stranded like beached whales.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might...
Her irises are light green, like the river.
I'll be explicit. If you find this...
Uncovering Union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them.
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you. We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls on.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We all...
Well, here's your chance, officers. No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the draw. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the East.
Well, at least this solves
What is that?
why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carrier.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand. The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done. Yes? Excellent. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more... In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. Of course, Detective.
The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench
We can sit on benches after we've...
I am a gander and a hunt.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
It's the jam, my man.
The air from the east is thick with the smell of crude oils.
It's a traffic jam for the ages. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Feels like forever. Like I was born.
Mazout is an antiquated term for heavy fuel oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Everyone's a critic, man. It's okay. So tell me, what do you need? It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out.
Going on strike would probably help you dodge a bullet or two.
Some pretty wild stuff, I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. Good on them. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town too. Like a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up. They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side. That's for sure.
Maybe you should. Cops don't get paid much and the hours are long. Plus, you can...
The RCM is a self-managing organization that operates on donations. We promote our own leaders. It would be like striking against your own mother. I don't think you understand how that joke goes, but do continue. You were asking about the strike?
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do us lorry drivers. Camionneurs. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer...
He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior.
He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being...
Ask for his conclusion.
Nothing. I'm just messing with you, man. Don't mind my idle verbosity. Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like...
Relax. He's merely joking.
Can't even get a few jokes past you, my man. I've got another haul of found cargo. Mostly sporting goods. They usually get shipped to Grad in the Occident, though we've been making headway in the Il-Moran market lately. This rockin' beauty. Sure is, like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in...
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort...
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road. We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be...
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Ah, man. Me and narcotics go way back. Has some... But those days are behind me. There are other addictions in my life now. Why the inquiry, my man?
We have a credible lead, sir. Someone on this roundabout is waiting for a bulk shipment from the harbor.
Not me, man. No way. I don't need any trouble. Shit's bad enough anyway. This jam's got folks up in arms, and I'm afraid it's headed toward a conflagration. Look, man, I try to stay away from the criminal underbelly of Revachol. I'm a guest here.
We wouldn't say he's lying, sire.
Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any. The bosses, man. Makes sense. It sucks is what it does. Don't be a stranger.
As you look up, you notice something about the statue. There are some odd, even by the standards of the Philippian. Well, he blew through the whole. His own maladministration foreshadowed the fall of the monarchy. Stories have it that he had his bedroom. There were whispers he slept on a huge pile of gold-dipped feathers, like some obese dragon, instead of a bed, like a normal person. But wait. You haven't even heard about his fabled cocaine addiction. You see, old Philippe wasn't just good at squandering the national treasury on gold and ceremonial weaponry. He was also a prodigious snorter of nose candy. That's what the revolutionaries said 150 years. Cocaine. His Majesty's courtiers said it helped him beneath the cold waters of the Insulindian Bay. The original was blown apart by communards, then further damaged. Most historians think the coalition's hasty landing made. Some years ago, a group of liberals. The statue is supposed to capture the moment it was blown apart, like an instant frozen in time, a rare butterfly trapped in amber. Neither do people in Martinez. The statue, those critics might have it wrong though. There's more. Philip III, the squanderer, however, with his bronze face up in the air. Not that he ever did in life either. Something with great kinetic energy. Someone shot him in the heart. Interesting.
Okay, I can see it. Well, Martinez is riddled with bullet holes. This place saw a lot of action during the revolution. But the statue is recently renovated, so maybe a joke? Target practice or a political statement? If we connect every bullet hole in Martinez to the murder, I've made a note. Don't hold your breath.
The king stands high above you. The small, wrinkled woman does not greet you. She nods along to something on her radio. A photograph is clutched in her hand. The photo, an ambrotype from the turn of the century, as golden as her smile. No response wherever this woman is.
If you want her attention, you may need to be more forceful.
Where am I? Who are you? Never mind. I remember now. I'm still stuck in that traffic jam in the 50s. The men have small jaws and everything is made out of plastic. Why do you need plastic when you can make the world out of amber? Back in Mecca, during the time of the revolution, the side wall until you came along, that is. This is Gabriel Buenguerro.
A strikingly handsome man looks straight at you. His head,
He was the biggest star of his day. Girls used to faint in the aisles of cinema whenever he came on the screen.
in all likelihood, it's a world that's only ever existed in her mind.
Someone was. They are someone's memories, boy. What different? They're beautiful. That is all that matters. Beautiful and true.
All of what? The world. The present.
I wasn't dreaming. I was there, Loman. It was early while you, people, were tearing each other apart over your petty little revolution.
The Republic of Mesk is a massive confederation on the Isola of Muindi, the world's largest state by territory.
Why not, Harife? It's not like I have anything better to do in this hellhole. Diamonds? Of course not. Whatever stupid things they put in the lorry, I imagine. I quit concerning myself with that a long time ago. Besides, I don't drive the lorry for the cargo, if you know what I mean. Then it's contraband, Loman. What? Do you want to take an old woman?
Bad hand. Hermenegildos's bad hand strangled 300 people.
Of course not. To truly understand the Boyade,
The Boyadero, Boya for short, is a cowherder from upstream Magritte, the great steppes of northern Mesk. He is a rugged individual.
it's an old ballad about a young girl who falls in love with a daring Boyadero. He promises to marry her as soon as he returns from the western plain. Don't be stupid. The Boyadero returns from the western plain a changed man, one night. As he and his...
In the background, you can hear the orchestra swell as the screen fills with the maidens imploring us.
So the Boyadero strangles his beloved and throws her body in the Magritte. Then he rides off, because the western plain is calling to him. You have to understand. A true Boyadero needs a whole horizon to himself. He can't be tied down.
She's just a distracted old woman. We should maybe let her.
So he doesn't think she's
You hear that, Loman? I don't think your partner likes you spending too much time with me. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm one of the best camioners around. Lomonosov's Land, the Transcatolia Magistral. You for 1A. Adestradas do Mirador. All the good ones. The deep trenches. You're right, Loman. I'm the one who should take my health more.
a correct appraisal. You're quite
Is that all you woke me up to say? What do I need drugs for, Loman? What I see, what I feel, the great adversary, no drugs can compare. Yes, there is...
Those epithets are familiar somehow. The great adversary. The great...
Then what will you get?
Maybe if she thought you're corrupt.
You're man, Loman. What of it? Maybe. Probably not. Makes no difference to me either way. Just this month, I made half a dozen trips from Saramiriza to Grad, on the U41A. What do you think they take from Saramiriza to Grad, Loman? It's diamonds, Loman, obviously. Easy. It's the skinny man who thinks he's a poet. Never trust a poet. Also, he's the only one I can see from here.
That's correct. There is no visibility of any of the others.
Diamonds are good for you, Lowman. Where do you want me to go? This isn't so bad. Or I can just
I think we're done here, no?
Yes, go. Enough.
We have a right to work! Hold up and stay frosty, everyone.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down. Good. We're fighting for a cause here.
Right!
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Maybe you should ask them the questions. Like, we have families to feed, you piece of...
So do we, Scott.
When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together.
Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we...
There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem... His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what.
Have fun. Union shits are on full strike. Don't think they're going to let you through the gates. You trying to meet their fat boss?
I know nothing about a murder. Wouldn't put it past these harbor bugs. They'd do anything to... Right to work!
It's shameful. Cops doing nothing. You should bring backup and open up the gates for us. Blockading game...
We are not picking a side indeed.
Pity.
Let us work! Honest men and women with rights to work.
We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market.
You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? Am I a suspect? Done no crimes. I only...
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fighter for jobs. He seems more brutal, cunning.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? Uh-huh. It was a long time ago. We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates. Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or huge Seminoles guy standing up there on the overhead passage. Won't let... Bad. Standing on a narrow bridge, he's got a strategically advantageous position. I don't know how the Union has a trained killer up there. But that one's no joke. And my men are tired and hungry. Like civilized folk, you mean? These
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home.
No! They will give up eventually.
Scab?
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the Flasky region.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes. Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the Wild North? Come to see the strife? Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. Of course, Policia. It wasn't me.
He didn't do it. It's the truth.
My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a grantor of
If it's so simple, why did the scab leader warn you?
I walk right past Measurehead, and yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini Supremus is there. Walk right, then press the button to unlock the door, then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, or you could convert to a Semini supremacist worldview. Or, maybe it actually is completely impossible. Not yet, no. Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic. Sure. Sure thing, my friend. I can help you out.
The coin lands into your hand as if it has always belonged there.
Always glad to help out the RCM. Shame I can't do more. Things are meager at the moment. You know, the winter's fat is slowly running out and all. Still better than scabbing, though. Nothing to worry about, really. The jam's a bit of a mess, cargo can't get in or out. The rationing is a bit stricter is all. I'm always glad to help out when possible. Not, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike too. Just can't break the command structure and tell you now. A Stars Riker, one of the finest Zhimsk-made motor carriages ever. An oldie, but a goldie. Not many people outside of Grad and Revachol West.
A Stashraiko KK2. That's a classic model. Never thought I'd see another one repainted after what happened last time. An old case for my precinct. A couple of Zhimsk migrants, so they said it was an honor killing. Hussar style. The Zhimsk community protest.
Correction. 4,395. The fourth largest public protest of a criminal trial in Revachol.
Is that so, officer? I'll take you at your word. People we are paid to protect. Let's leave it at that. 4 years for murder in Reunion. The perps were remorseful. Their sorry knocked 8 years off the sentence.
The prisons in the greater Revachol industrial harbor are already full. Prisoners are expensive to maintain. The longer the sentence, the larger the cost.
I try to avoid drawing far-gone conclusions like this before actually examining the body. But my initial guess is the two are unrelated. Yes, detective? Okay. I'm not going to honor kill anyone of it.